All right. What is up? Good morning, everybody. Matt Modi here with another live stream of Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook on the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Everybody that's here, as I knock my headphone out, as aware, we're live 11 a.m. every Wednesday and Friday. We're going through the entire NBA betting slate, giving out at least one pick for each game. For today, we have an 8-game slate. So I'm going to have at least one pick for all 8 games and then a couple games with multiple. I did this last stream, but in case you missed it, one thing that I do want to note is that I'm switching up a little bit how I give out the picks and everything like that. Previously, I'd just been doing a flat unit on literally every single play, but now what we're going to do is giving out leans, giving out half unit plays as well, just to try and assign a little bit more confidence to what we're giving out. So the 1 unit and the half unit plays, they're going to be tracked accordingly, right? Whether they hit or not and how much they would be for. While the leans aren't going to be tracked win or lose. Just they're just going to be, in case you really want something for that game. I will give out a lean, but I won't track that officially. And if you're curious about the logic, basically what I kind of realized was what I would be doing, I was trying to force plays just to give something out for every single game, if that makes sense. So I would ended up giving out stuff that I maybe wasn't super confident on, stuff like that. Led to some pretty bad streams. So the strategy worked well last week. Granted, it's only been one day, but let's hope that it does work moving forward. To do a recap from last stream, and then I promise we'll get into all the picks for today. Had a decent day. Went 5-4 on our 9 official plays, up 1.82 units. On the entire year, that brings our total profit. We are up 5.71 units with an ROI of 2.25% on a total of over 250 picks. So kind of makes sense why the ROI is a little bit lower. It's just because of how many picks we're giving out. So anyways, make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. Share the link with your friends. Get all your comments and everything in the chat, which I will be monitoring on a separate screen here. So when you see me look over, I already see some people in here. Scott, good morning. Manuel, let's cash some bangers. And Tyshawn, I actually do have a parlay, the same game parlay for today. So I will get you there. And then you can find me at my handle you see on the screen here at Jedi Modi, basically everywhere. And let's chat bangers. So the first game that we're going to talk about here, and I'm actually going to have 2 plays for this one, Hornets versus Pistons game. LaMelo Ball, 30-plus points. This is best offer, plus 115. You can get it on DraftKings. So I am putting the full unit on this bad boy. 30 points might seem high, admittedly, for LaMelo. Since he's been back from injury, he has yet to get to 30 points. Granted, he's gotten in the high 20s a couple times. Just hasn't gotten to 30. But what you have to keep in mind also is that Terry Rozier was on the team since LaMelo returned from injury, and that's no longer the case. He was traded to the Miami Heat, which means he would no longer be suiting up for the Charlotte Hornets. And even with Rozier on the court, LaMelo already has a pretty high usage rate. It's about 32%. With Rozier off the court, that number goes up to 35.26% to be exact. Number one, he has the 3rd highest usage rate increase on the Hornets with Rozier off the court. And that's already with a very high usage rate. And to put that number, the 35.26%, to put that into context, right now, if everybody who qualifies, of all qualifying NBA players, Luka Doncic has the 2nd highest usage rate in the NBA at 35.9. LaMelo would be just below that at 35.26. If you extrapolate that out for the entire year, that would be the 3rd highest usage rate in the NBA. Also, another way to just to kind of put that in context, Giannis right now has the 3rd highest, and his is at 32.3. So it goes Embiid, Luka, and then Rozier or LaMelo Ball with Rozier off the court, and then there's a huge gap in terms of usage rate. You also have to remember as I pull up, there you go. You also have to remember what LaMelo was doing prior to his injury when Rozier was injured and off the court. Prior to that injury, when LaMelo got hurt, he had scored 30-plus points in 7 of 9 games, and he did that in basically any type of matchup. Difficult, hard, easy, whatever. Now he gets the ultimate easiest matchup against the Pistons. They're among the worst defenses in the NBA at guarding point guards on the year. They've given up the 2nd most points per game to opposing point guards. We've targeted point guards against the Pistons all year. Most notably, last time against the Bucks, we had Damian Lillard. He scored 45 points. So I really like this one, the LaMelo Ball 30-plus points, getting it at plus 115 odds. I do think is pretty good. So next, that's our first one. Next play, this is in the, we're sticking in the same game here, Hornets Pistons. We're taking Jalen Duran over 11.5 rebounds. This is another play that I'm confident putting a full unit on. The odds you can see here are on DraftKings, but the best play per the Betting Pros consensus is at minus 123. And I apologize for the dogs. I have someone doing yard work, so they're just going nuts. Hopefully everybody here is dog friendly, but that will unfortunately be something happening. Anyways, about the play here. So for full disclosure, I actually was able to get it at minus 110. So if you check my history on the Betting Pros app, which we will talk about, I got it at minus 110. I still think it's worth taking at minus 123. So I am still officially giving that out. And the 11.5 rebounds number might seem high, but you have to look at what Jalen Duran has been doing recently, especially when you consider the trade the Pistons made when they traded away Marvin Bagley, clearing room for way more playing time for Jalen Duran. He's consistently playing 30 minutes. Granted, it's only been 4 games, but that's the sample size we have. Consistently playing 30 minutes, and he's averaging just under 13 rebounds per game in those 4 games. He's gone over 11.5 twice, and in one of the games he missed, he had exactly 11. Granted, one of the times he went over, he had exactly 12. But what that does mean is in 3 of the 4 games, he's consistently hovering around this number, which is good. In this stretch, this 4-game stretch, he has about 18.3 rebound opportunities per game. If you look at other players that average a similar amount of rebound opportunities, that would be guys like Bam Adebayo. Jokic and Vucevic are just one ahead of Duran, and they're both averaging about 13 rebounds per game. Now looking at the matchup here, for rebounds, you look at the matchup, I really like to look at pace. And if you look at the entire year, it doesn't seem as though the Hornets play at that fast of a pace. That's mostly because of the injuries that LaMelo Ball has had. With LaMelo Ball on the floor, they play at a very fast pace. The pace that they play at would be the 2nd fastest in the NBA, and the Pistons play at the 6th fastest pace. Pace just equals more shots, more possessions, more rebound opportunities. So all in all, I think this is a great opportunity for Jalen Duran. See some people in the comments, Jedi Parlay. I like that. That's pretty good. I also like Pesto Parlay as well. I think that one is good. So we're 2 picks deep. I do want to talk to you about the Betting Pros app, which I kind of hinted about how I use it, how you can use it to follow my picks there. The first thing I want to talk about, and I haven't mentioned it yet, but I will, is the prop bet cheat sheet. You can find recommended picks based on what the current lines the sports books are offering, and then also the Betting Pros projections as well. It's a very good way to find positive EV player props by using the cheat sheet. I also like the fact that you can use the cheat sheet. You can sort by percent of positive EV, just the highest EV plays. You can also sort by win percentage. So if you're looking like Tyshawn was in the chat for parlays, you filter by win percentage and you put those in a parlay to have it be a little bit safer of a parlay. You can also sort by biggest difference between the sports books over under and Betting Pros projections. That's how I find a lot of my pumped up props. And then you can also find my profile on the app as well, bettingpros.com/Modi. And I think I should mention the app is bettingpros.com/apps. It's you can find that in the link in the description of this video. But yeah, you can find all my picks there, bettingpros.com/Modi. I lock in everything I can on the app. You can sign up for a free trial. If you download the app, you can get a free trial of the premium offering. I'll talk to you about the premium offering in a little bit in terms of a giveaway. And then it syncs with your sports books, which I think is super cool. You can sync directly with your books, so you don't really need to go in and manually track anything. It does it for you. So bettingpros.com/apps. AJ Gunn, can you rip me quick a fantasy? There's a fantasy point. I'm not 100% sure the question there. But if you're looking for like fantasy point plays, I don't have anything, unfortunately. You probably could get to a fantasy points one based on the plays that I'm giving out. I just don't have anything officially. The next play that I do want to talk about officially is the Timberwolves versus Wizards game. Anthony Edwards over 28.5 points. This is best offered at -120 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. And you will also see the odds on DraftKings on the screen as well. Another play, we haven't had any half unit or leans yet. All 3 have been for a unit. But I really like this one for Anthony Edwards. I will admit on Monday, I liked his points as well. That was the game in which Karl Anthony Towns blew up for like 64 points. So Anthony Edwards, he really wasn't shooting. He only scored 9 points in that game. And admittedly, over the past 10 games or so, it's been a little bit of it's been hot and cold for Anthony Edwards. He scored 30 plus points twice. He's also scored had 3 games where he scored in the single digits. Granted, one of those games was what I just talked about with Karl Anthony Towns. The other 2, he played fewer than 30 minutes. He had been dealing with an illness and then a knee injury, but he's no injury designation on this game as of right now, so he should be fully healthy. In the matchup against the Wizards, it's just so juicy. Their defense is so bad. Somebody on the Timberwolves is going to put up cartoonish stats against the Wizards. That's just how it goes. It can be hard to guess which stat for which player. For me, I'm calling my shot Anthony Edwards points. I like it as a fade of recent results, as he has been a little bit cold the past 2 games. I mentioned last game, he only scored 9 points. The game before that, he only scored 19. In those 2 games, he only attempted 10 and 11 field goals. That's low for him. He usually shoots like in the 20s, and he had one game in this past 10 games where he attempted like 28 shots. And it's just a really good matchup for someone like Edwards, who's very good. He can shoot, obviously, but he's very good attacking the rim, and he's explosive. The Wizards give up the second most points per game in the paint in the entire NBA. And to me, that's Anthony Edwards. That's not Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is not someone that you feed the ball to in the paint and he just goes to work. He's not Jokic. He's not Embiid. That is Anthony Edwards, and hopefully the basket isn't too, or the paint isn't too cluttered with Rudy Gobert, but I like this one a lot. So that's our third play, Anthony Edwards, over 28.5 points. And Space Cram, not even going to look at Cat tonight. I agree. I honestly wanted to take Karl Anthony Towns under just because it's immediate fade of recent results, but the matchup against the Wizards, like anybody can get it. Anybody can get it against the Wizards, so I didn't want to mess with an under. But our next play, this is in the Grizzlies versus Heat game, taking Luke Kennard, 5+ made 3-pointers. This is going to be a half unit play. DraftKings is giving this to you at plus 160. You can find better odds elsewhere, but as you can see on the screen here, DraftKings is giving you plus 160. I'll admit this is a little bit more of a dart throw type of play, as the Heat give up a ton of 3-pointers on the perimeter to guards. The Heat are very good at guarding the interior. They're not as good at guarding the perimeter. Especially, I like this matchup for Kennard specifically because with all the injuries to the Grizzlies guards, he's just playing a lot. Like in the past 5 games, just playing over 32 minutes. And if you compare that to the beginning of the year, it's a significantly higher. And in terms of pesto plays that someone referenced, David H. referenced, this is probably going to be a pesto play, but not for the reasons that you think. It's a pesto play because he's been shooting so well recently that you know he's going to cool down eventually. Let's just hope it's not tonight. He's made 4 or more 3-pointers in 3 straight games. Last game, he attempted 13 and he made 5. That was against a similar defense to the Miami Heat, which is his matchup tonight. That was against the Raptors, who do also allow a ton of 3-pointers on the perimeter. On the entire year, the Heat have allowed the 4th most 3-pointers specifically to shooting guards. They're listed as the best matchup in the NBA when it comes to shooting guard 3-point props specifically. I like looking at those because if guys have a high over-under, then just giving up the most isn't always helpful. So I like to compare it to what their over-under was as well. So even though him making a ton of 3-pointers recently does make me a little bit nervous, I do like backing him in this matchup tonight. Let's just hope he stays hot for one more night from deep. Next up, this is in the Blazers versus Rockets game. This is our first and only mainline non-player prop of the day. Rockets minus 9.5. Best offered at minus 115 per the Betting Pros consensus. This was a play that I found using the Betting Pros app, not just the cheat sheet, but you can just scan main lines on the odds page and see where there's value. You can see where sportsbooks might have different odds. Like every other book has this at minus 10 or minus 10.5. We're getting it at minus 9.5. So even at the minus 115 odds, there's still some value there. And I know the Rockets haven't been playing well recently, and they're actually entirely out of the playoff picture now, not even in the play-in. But I do like this spot for them tonight. And I will admit this is mostly a play against the Blazers as a play backing the Rockets, because the Blazers are on the second half of a back-to-back, and they lost a pretty brutal game last night to the Thunder. They lost on a last-second shot to Jalen Williams, and if you saw the highlights, they had possession with the lead in the closing minute of the game, but they turned it over, either a travel or a double dribble. But Chauncey Billups was aggressively trying to call a timeout. They didn't give it to him. He freaked out, ended up getting ejected. It's a tough loss against a good Thunder team. And now the Blazers have to travel from Portland to Houston to play a Rockets team that is much, much better at home. On the year, the Rockets are 16-7 at home. They're only 4-15 on the road. And they're also good against the spread at home as well. They're 14-6-1 at home against the spread. Now, they're only 3-7 in their last 10 games, but you have to look at what happened in those 10 games. 6 of them were on the road. They had a pretty decent road trip. They also played the Celtics twice, the Timberwolves, the Heat, the Sixers, the Bucks, the Knicks. That's a brutal 10-game stretch. Now they're back at home in a pretty good matchup against a bad Blazers team in a bad spot. So I like backing the Rockets tonight. So we're halfway done, 5 picks deep. Now is time to talk about the Betting Pros Discord. If you're looking to up your sports betting game, look no further than the Betting Pros Discord. bettingpros.com/chat is where you can find it. Link to that is in the description as well. In the Discord, Betting Pros has gathered a team of expert handicappers giving you free, emphasis on that, free picks. I know the NFL season is winding down, but the most important games means you're going to want to bet them. You can find picks for the NFL. Of course, NBA, I'm in there as well. And then NHL, golf, soccer, player props, live betting, futures, whatever you're looking at, you can find in the Betting Pros Discord. So you can get in on the action, connect with individuals such as yourselves, sports betting enthusiasts. You can also talk to the experts to help with your own strategy as well. So join us in the Discord today. Take your sports betting experience to the next level. We're halfway done. Now I have 2 picks, both in the Cavaliers versus Bucks game. So the first one is Donovan Mitchell over 31.5 points. Best offered at -110 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. So the main official play we're tracking is over 31.5. I also like pumping him up to 35 as well. That's what I am playing. I am also playing him up to 35. And I also, if you really want to get spicy, up to 40 as well. I see a question here asking about my thoughts on the Bucks firing their head coach. I'll talk about that after I get through the Donovan Mitchell play. I really, really like Donovan Mitchell in this matchup against the Bucks. The Bucks are similar to the Pistons. They're a team that you want to target for your guard point props. It makes sense with the way their defense is played. They play drop coverage with Brook Lopez. They normally don't put Giannis on the best player. Not that they would put him on Donovan Mitchell anyways. They like Giannis as more of a roamer. But what that means is if you put your guard in a pick and roll with whoever Brook Lopez is guarding, he can either pull up from 3 because Brook Lopez doesn't go up to the perimeter, or if he does, he has got a really easy way to drive to the basket. Now, these two teams just played, and Mitchell only put up 31 points. So yeah, he went under. He did that in 26 minutes of play, as that game from the jump was a complete blowout. If he even played a normal allotment of minutes, he pretty easily cashes this over, probably cashes 35 as well. I also like his 3-point prop. You can get him to make 5+ at +260, which is pretty juicy. I took that myself as well. Now, this dates back to last year, but Mitchell has scored 30+ points in each of the last 3 games against the Bucks. In both games this year, he has 34 and 31. It's been about 2 full weeks since Mitchell last blew up. That was against the London or the France game, the Paris game. It was the last time he blew up. It's been almost 2 full weeks. Feels like a great opportunity for him to do so once again. In terms of the Bucks firing their head coach, they had a good record, but the record didn't match how they were playing. I saw that their point differential is more closely aligned to a team that's like 26-17, and they're 31-13. Apparently, the players didn't like him, so I don't think it's crazy to fire him, despite the how good their record was. What I think is crazy is hiring Doc Rivers, which I intimately know him as a Sixers fan. If you're mad at the coach for not making adjustments, you're not going to want to have Doc Rivers replace him. That's my 2 cents there. I do think that they're going to play better tonight, just because it's the first game after their head coach was fired. So they're just going to play with a little bit more energy. And yes, Giannis is currently questionable. That is the case. Even with him questionable, I would like the Mitchell over points. Next play, this is in the same game, Cavs Bucks. Here is a parlay that I have. So Tyshawn, we were asking about a parlay. It's a same game parlay, both backing Damian Lillard, both including Damian Lillard. I'm taking him under 7.5 assists, and I'm parlaying that with him to score 25+ points. I'm putting a half unit on that one. DraftKings is offering that at +172. So this was a play that I ended up confirming by using the cheat sheet, the Betting Pros cheat sheet. So I just wanted to see where they had Dame in with these stats, and they do have it aligning with this parlay. There is a positive EV play on him going under 7.5 assists. If you wanted to take that straight up, that probably is a play that I'm more confident in, him under assists. But minus 145 at DraftKings, it's pretty steep. And I also like for Dame to score as well, which is why I decided to parlay it. Betting Pros does project both him to go under the assist and to hit 25 plus points as well. So it does meet that. And I like this play. It's a matchup of how the Cavs play defense against guards specifically. They will let guards score on them. They'll let them go one-on-one, but they will not allow them to play make and rack up a bunch of assists. They'll stay home. And if a guard's going off against them, so be it. They're not going to let them take over the game with assists as well. On the year, the Cavs have literally given up the fewest number of assists to opposing point guards and the second fewest over the past month. So on the year, literally the fewest. Past month, the second fewest. So they're still playing well recently, even with the injuries. The Dame has played the Cavs 3 times this year. He's gone under in all 3 games with 3, 4, and 5 assists. So not even close. Of course, if you want to fade those recent results, you could. To me, I think there's more to it. I don't want to fade it basically because of the matchup. Not for me. With that said, as I mentioned, they will allow guards to score on them, which is why we're putting his points in the same game parlay. Last time these two teams played last week, Dame only scored 17 points. But again, that was he also played limited minutes because of the blowout. The previous 2 times against the Cavs this year, Dame scored 31 and 50. So in this matchup, I do think that Dame can have success. So I like parlaying both of these together. You're getting pretty good odds on DraftKings. So I think it's definitely worth a play. Even if you want to play it for a full unit, like I like both of them a lot individually. Parlays are obviously just risky, which is why we're putting the half unit on it. But we're 7 picks down, 3 to go. Before I get into the next one, I want to talk to you about the 1-year premium subscription giveaway that I did hint to you about. So if you want a chance to win a premium 1-year subscription to Betting Pros, it's a place where you can bet smart and not hard. That's the most important thing. All you need to do to be entered for the 1-year premium subscription giveaway is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and then comment on this video. Hopefully you're already subscribed. If not, please click that subscribe button and then comment. You do those 2 things and you will be entered. I'd also recommend to turn notifications on so you can be notified when new episodes drop and you can come in and claim your prize. But yeah, 1-year premium subscription giveaway, comment, subscribe. That's how you're entered. So I see that someone is saying Manuel is saying Dame getting 25 plus points is only minus 120. That is way different than when I saw it. I saw him to get 25 plus at like minus 160. So if you can get minus 120 on that, I would recommend putting a full unit on Dame 25 plus at minus 120 if you can find those odds. I did not see that anywhere across the board, but things change. So if you can find that, that's a great play. Next up, so we're 3 picks deep. Suns versus Mavericks. I'm playing Luka Doncic, 35 plus points, plus 100 odds at DraftKings. This might seem a little square because it's basically just backing Luka against the Suns, but to me, I think it's like an auto play whenever Luka plays the Suns. Last time out, granted, it was a big game on Christmas. He hung 50 on the Suns. And of course, we all know it dates back to that playoff series where Luka killed them in 7 games. But he just loves killing the Sun souls. He loves taking their souls. And someone's asking, what's a full unit? So 1 unit equals 1% of your bankroll. So I generally don't take any more than 1 unit on an individual play. So when I say full unit, that's basically me saying like put your full confidence in a 1 unit play. So about this Suns one, or the Luka one against the Suns, I will admit the Suns are hot coming into this game. To me, that just makes it the perfect opportunity to back Luka so he can steal their souls once again. In general, and there is a matchup to this. It's not just me taking the narrative. The Suns struggle against guards like Luka, who are very, very adept and good in the pick and roll and can also pull up in the pick and roll as well. The Suns give up the 4th most points per game to someone of Luka's scoring profile, which makes sense because of the way the Suns play defense. It's kind of similar to the Bucks. They play drop coverage with Nurkic, who's decent at protecting the rim, but he can't really move his feet on the perimeter. So you put Luka in a pick and roll with whoever Nurkic is guarding. He's either going to get a pretty open shot if Nurkic comes up to the perimeter, which he rarely does. But if he does, then Luka's going to cook him and go to the basket. It's barbecue chicken. So I like backing Luka in this one. Luka's also been playing great recently. He's scored at least 30 points in 9 of his last 10 games. He's gotten to 35 or more points in 5 of those games. Now, he has missed it in 4 straight, but in those 4 games, he scored 34, 31, 33, and 33 points. So in this matchup, feels right for him to get to 35. Even if you wanted to take him to pump him up to 40 plus, I wouldn't hate that as well. I have yet to lock that in myself, but if you want something a little bit more juicy, you can do so. Next up in the Thunder versus Spurs game, I'm taking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, over 32.5 points, best offer -120 per the Betting Pros consensus. And this play is a lean, so I'm not going to officially track whether he hits it or not. I will say I love the matchup and I love the play itself. The spot is what makes me nervous. In terms of the matchup and everything, it would scream smash spot for SGA, for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The reason why I left it as a lean is because I already told you that the Blazers and the Thunder played last night. So the Thunder are also on the second half of a back-to-back. Also, both of them are road games, traveling from Portland to San Antonio. So it's just a tough spot. And it was a tough game last night as well. They didn't quite show up against an inferior opponent. Now they have to play another inferior opponent. If it's a game where the Thunder just can't get it up, I wouldn't be surprised. That's why I'm leaving it as a lean. But in terms of the matchup and everything, like if the Thunder weren't on this, it wasn't the spot for the Thunder that it is, this would be a play. It would not be a lean. So do with that what you will. The Spurs are similar to the Pistons and Bucks. They're a team that you want to play your guards against. The Spurs are literally giving up the most points per game to point guards in the entire NBA, and they're listed as the 3rd best matchup for point guard props as well. Again, if this was a more normal game in a better spot, I'd be all over this one, but we all know how the NBA is. If he plays not a ton of minutes, I wouldn't be surprised. So that's why it's a lean. I wouldn't blame you if you took it because I think it's a great play. But yeah, so that's what we're going with there. Last play of the evening, Hawks versus Warriors. Dejounte Murray over 7.5 assists, plus 100 odds on DraftKings. So for those of you that follow me, I know I went with his assists on Monday, and he didn't even come close to coming through for us. But I think that there's a ton of reasons why you would want to back him today. Number one, that play on Monday was 10 plus assists for like plus 140, plus 160 odds. Now we're getting 2 fewer assists, and we're still getting plus money. Granted, plus 100, they're still plus in that number. I also like laddering him up to 10 plus as well. You can get that at plus 290. I think that's a really good play. I took it personally. Again, we're just going to track whether he gets our official play, but just to give out some leans and some honorable mentions. And if you followed me on Monday, all the stats I gave out about Murray and his assists without Trae Young, those still hold true, even going under last game. You just need, what you need to do is don't just look at the 6 assists, look at why he only had 6 assists and how that game went. Doing that made me like this play even more. Murray had 18 potential assists in that game and only 6 actual assists. That's a horrible conversion rate, which is not something that you would expect to happen night over night. For reference, on that same night, Luka Doncic had 17 potential assists, and he ended the day with 13 actual assists. That's a little bit better of a conversion rate than you would expect. What that means is that both players probably should have had 10. The Hawks shot 1 of 12 from 3-pointers directly off of passes from Dejounte Murray. So they just didn't shoot great. That's not unlikely to continue game over game. And Murray also scored 35 points in that game. So even with that, he should have had 10 assists. So if you look at the 4 games in which Dejounte Murray has played without Trae Young on the Hawks, he's averaging about 17 potential assists per game. That would put him 3rd in the NBA in the category of potential assists if you extrapolate that out to the entire year. Also, the Warriors defense is pretty bad at guarding point guards. They've allowed 6 of the last 7 guards against them to go over their assist over under, including guys who crushed their over, like Emmanuel Quickly had 10 assists on an over under of 4.5. CJ McCollum had 8 assists on an over under of 5.5. So he burned me Monday. I'm not scared off. I like backing Murray once again. And I see a comment here. What do you think about Wemby getting a double-double? That seems pretty good to me. He's been rebounding a lot more recently, and the Thunder could have tired legs, so Wemby might be able to play pretty well. So I like that one. It's not an official play, but I do think that one's pretty good. But that's all we got. 10 plays for you guys. 9 official plays, 1 lean. Hopefully we have another good day today. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody who commented. Hopefully I got to everything and didn't miss anything. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel if you are not already. You can find me on the app, bettingpros.com/Modi. Remember the giveaway that we're doing if you subscribe and comment. The Discord at bettingpros.com/chat. Hit me up on all social medias at Jedi Modi. Appreciate everybody for watching and have a good one.